The growing calls across the nation to defund the police.
To end policing as we know it.
Off the charts violence in New York City. 11 people shot in just 8 hours on Sunday.
This is about the police officers who every single day put on that uniform and they run towards danger when we run away from it.
What's up? In Gideon, what is going on, folks of the internet? This is the Failure to Stop podcast. You are, I don't know if I should have cut that off that fast. Dang, it's weird. All right, this is the Failure to Stop podcast, the #1 show where law enforcement meets culture. And we are going to make an Eric sandwich, it looks like on the screen today. Myself, the artist formerly known as Mike the Cop, Eric, the official Eric Tansey, not just any Eric Tansey. He is the official Eric Tansey. There are many, many impersonators. If you are being asked to invest in crypto by an Eric Tansey, it is not the official one. He would never do that. And so just know that. And then we have joining us today someone who is he has spent the last couple of days helping to shuttle illegal immigrants from Florida to Martha's Vineyard. He's very tired. He had a long couple of days. It's not easy work to corral them onto the planes and get them where they need to go. But Drew Breasy has done it. And I don't know if he wants to share more about that experience or not, but he's here with us.
Primero, hola, señores, y siéntate, por favor. ¿Tú no tiene identificación? That means you don't have any identification. That was kind of campy.
¿Tienen ustedes pollos?
Mi gato es muy blanco.
Yeah.
Juan es muy guapo.
Yo vivo
La biblioteca.
La Casa Roja. Por favor, hey.
Right.
Yo Taco Bello. What was that old YouTube video? Like first semester Spanish love song. That's all the Spanish I know is from that fucking video.
Anyway, guys, we're all here. The three of us are here together, and Friday's show is like our flagship show, and we are going to break down, kind of keying in on the radio transmission during the murder of Ella French. And obviously, like, we are aware that sort of like treading on line of duty death stuff, we just really want to be clear on the front end that any sort of like humor or our interaction together with that is like dark and or lighthearted is not meant and will not be meant in any way to be disrespectful to anybody that participated in that situation or dealing with that or the fallout of the family. Like, coming from that background myself, I understand this. So just on the front end, we're going to dive deep into the dispatch response of this. Not many of you may know, but you will today, that Drew has an extensive background as far as like the dispatch side of policing. So that's going to be a huge asset to discuss this. But we break down cases, current, past, on Fridays. On Mondays, you'll hear Off the Cuff with myself, Dave, and the underpaid producer, breaking down law enforcement related news from all over the interwebs. We go out there and patrol the internet so you don't have to. Tuesday nights, Eric and Andrea, they get dark and weird with true crime and tell all kinds of true crime stories and bring some angles and perspectives maybe you hadn't thought of. And on Thursdays, Tansey does Last Call to give you all the pop culture news you need to not sound like a complete douchebag at the parties on the weekends. You don't have to talk about dead babies and domestics. You can talk about, I don't know, space rockets and Loch Ness monsters, and
Flat Earth. This week we had Let's Talk Darling Monique. She was that was like an awesome interview. She is dope. She's like this.
She's on the rise, man. She's on the rise.
Super on the rise, and she's like real connected with the Brandon Tatum and all those guys. And we broke down Ray J exposing the Kardashians, and man, that led to like some crazy conversations. But she was on it, man. That was a fun episode. So
giddy up. So that's on the agenda today. The underpaid producer. So today is my youngest son's wedding. So we kind of like had this day planned. So I had some stuff going on this morning. I'm pausing to do the show because that's how much I love you guys. And I love doing the show because I'm here today. And then so the UPP is out because he has to be ready and to the venue like way before the rest of us because he's like the best man. So
I have a question, and I had this
going on.
for Elijah, and I wanted to ask him when he was live, but he wasn't here today, so I can't ask him. But I'll ask you in his place.
I'll know the answer.
Because he's the best.
Yes, he is bisexual, and yes, we have put him in therapy to try to clear him of these issues.
You're trying to pray it away, pray the bi away.
Yes.
No, my real question is: he's the best man, and he has a ghost bed. Does
Yes.
he let the younger brother use the ghost
Yes,
bed?
it is a
to make
ceremony
them-
known as Ghost Bed Nocta. The first night is always on a ghost bed.
Mhm.
So
it better be like
he couldn't
if you're the
afford
real
to-
best man.
he
you better
couldn't
be
afford
donating.
to buy a ghost bed for his brother, and so he gets to use the ghost bed for tonight.
Good.
Yeah,
on his night.
Does Elijah get the left half or the right half while his brother and new bride are in the?
I think it's like a closet camera situation. I'm not sure.
Okay. Yeah.
Like
That's popular
I
these
did hear
days.
them talking about launching an OnlyFans of some sort for extra cash, but I don't know the details. I'd rather not know. So
Well, that's
I'm not
exciting, man.
sure.
I'm glad he's getting married, and I bet you're a proud dad. Now, do you get to walk him down the aisle? Is that I forgot how it works as a
I
dad.
think that's how it should go in 2022. I
Yeah.
think that I believe the plan is I'm walking my son down the aisle. She's already going to be up there, and then he's taking her last name,
Okay.
and
you
I'm
give him
pretty
to
sure.
her?
Yes.
Who's wearing the dress?
They
Or are
might
we not
bo-
allowed to ask?
They
in
might both.
2022?
They might both be, and I think what happens is also their pets are going to be standing in their as their witnesses.
Yeah.
And just keeping in line with 2022, let's be clear: his son is only 7.
Correct.
He says,
But
John-
he identifies as a 19-year-old. So
He does,
it
and
works
a
out.
groomsman.
yeah.
The
I mean,
priest-
who am I to try to stop him from being happy?
the priest is gonna get up there today, and he'd be like, "This here is Mark, him, her. We'll be marrying Sally, his, her."
Treading lightly.
Do you, sir, take they them? I don't know, man. I don't know. Thank God. And then the last wedding will be my youngest daughter in January, and we will be officially empty nesters. That's it. And I am so grateful that we had our kids, raised them. They didn't turn out to be completely self-identifying as not what they were, morons in this culture, and we have survived raising our kids. And now we can just sit back and watch the stupidity unfold from a distance.
I feel like if
Congratulations.
in 2022, if you raise kids that aren't politicians, then you're winning. Like, I feel like that's where I draw my line. If my kids are like, "Dad, I'm going to be a politician," I'm like, "Fuck, man, where did I go wrong as a father? Where did I go
Yeah.
wrong? What did I do to you? So messed up. Was it inappropriate showers? I don't know."
And the poor kids, I mean, the new bride and groom are like, their entire wedding is overshadowed by the Little Mermaid controversy. So I feel horrible for that.
It sucks getting.
Dude, I saw this.
They will
meme.
always remember that.
Can we tell them about do you want to tell them about Ghost Bed now? Like, do you want to do our I mean, I don't know. I'm not in charge of the ad, so like, but I'm going to get this meme that I'll share with you guys here while you talk about that. I'll pull up the meme because the Little Mermaid thing made me think about it.
Did you see my Little Mermaid reel that I did on last call?
No,
Oh, dude, you should go back and watch it. Like,
I did read the first 2 chapters of your book, which were really funny.
oh, you did?
Yes.
Oh, no shit. Damn, dude. Thank you.
Not to one up, but I'm going to 3 up. I read 5.
I
read
got
5
5, but I read 2.
3 up you. Well, my youngest child's not getting married, so.
That's true. That's true.
Well, no, I mean, yeah, we'll knock out this before we jump into the Ella French stuff. Oh, by the way, though, for those of you who don't know, I know we do get a couple of comments about the banter and how long it takes. This show is like 98% for first responders who are sitting in their car who have a 12-hour shift. So they appreciate the banter. They appreciate feeling like we're with them all day. So this is a show that we do drag on because 12 hours is a long day, and 2 hours is hard to talk about Ella French for 2 straight hours without making all the first responders in their cars want to blow their fucking brains out. Because it's kind of a depressing subject. So we don't want to just like flood them with all the sadness and all the facts of a case. We also like to keep them briefly entertained, just like a radio show, which is great though, because in 2022, there's a thing called the fast forward or skip button. So just skip to like the 20-minute mark. It'll be on there. But as far as GhostBed goes, man, we love them. They've been a loyal sponsor since day one. Everyone raves about them. They have super comfortable matches that last forever and ever and ever and ever. And they're made in the good old Help Me Out Boys. USA. Jeez, I thought it couldn't get worse, folks. Every mattress has a 20-year warranty, and you can try them out for 101 nights. Not 98, not 99, not 69. But 101 nights. If you don't like them, you can easily turn them back. No hard feelings. One of our favorite parts about GhostBed is that each mattress has that cooling technology. So if you're newlywed in the old Detroit, Michigan area, and you're having a hard time staying cool, nope. You have a hard time staying hard. No, if you want to stay hard while staying cool, sleep on a GhostBed mattress. That's where I was going with that. One of our favorite parts is that cooling technology, $100. GhostBed also offers bundles, so you can get everything you need. You don't have to really think about it. Just choose from the 4 mattresses and pick your bundle. So whether you just need a mattress and a frame or you want it all, I want it all.
I want it all.
I want it all.
And I want it now.
Which is just like that Little Mermaid
boys.
trailer where she completely butchered that song. Under the sea. I hate it. Right now, GhostBed is offering a flash sale, 40% off GhostBed bundles where you get a mattress and adjustable base. Use that promo code Wolfpack, guys. GhostBed.com/Wolfpack. Get everything. Listen, if you're a cop, you need to sleep good, go get a GhostBed. End of story. Boom. Bam. Thank you, ma'am. Give me another one.
Bam.
All right, you got this meme daddy?
Oh, I posted it, but I'll put it up there again so you can
I want to
see
see
it.
it.
If you weren't paying
I want to
attention.
see it. Yeah, keep going. I put that on my story. Keep complaining about the aerialities today. I'm all for it, man. Like I'm all for him.
Man.
I said in my reel, I said in my reel, if we're going to make a black character, let's make a black character. Let's not take the old white character, keep all the whiteness and then just give it black skin. Like, I don't understand.
It's like remaking the A-Team and turning Mr. T into like Mr. P and some middle-aged white dude.
It's just like, give her like,
what does it matter? Like, why do people care? Plus it's a freaking fake. It's a half human, half fish. Who cares?
That's what I'm
saying.
saying.
Make one of those,
right.
You know,
like, it's a fish. Make them blue and scaly. Make it blue and scaly.
About than the race of a fish. My gosh, that's how you know you have it as a society, is when all you have to argue about and get mad about is the race of a fish.
Dude, have you seen the movie Cold Skin? Real quick.
No, the name of the movie is Cold Skin. Real quick.
No, it's called Cold Skin.
No, I've never seen that.
But it's a very fucked up movie about like mermaids, but they look creepy as shit. They look like more like aliens and everything. But it's like set in like 1911, and these dudes are protecting a lighthouse, and they have to do these like 4-month stints in Antarctica. And this one dude ends up like capturing one of these like mermaids, but it's kind of like a very young mermaid. It's very ugly and alien, but like they're on the middle of an island. Anyway, it gets very, very weird. Actually, the most fucked up sex I've ever had with my wife ever was after watching that movie.
Wow.
It wasn't because of the movie. It's just because we typically make love at night. But then like afterwards, she was like, you know what? I feel very awkward having watched that movie and then just making love. And I said, yeah, that movie was very twisted. And I had to like really wrap my brain around ignoring the movie to make
Did she say that? Work. Did she say making love?
Yeah. She doesn't like Whoopi.
I don't like Whoopi either.
She doesn't swear.
Well,
I call
sex isn't a swear word.
No, I was going with fucking.
Yeah, but that's
the word I was.
Yeah, but I'm saying like I would never say the words making love.
No, my wife says, would you like to go to the bed chambers and make love?
Well, if it's kind of tongue in cheek saying
no,
bed chambers and making love, but if that's how she really expresses it, you did use the word chamber in your book. I noticed that. I was laughing. And I'm surprised the editor lets you get away with this whole gorilla line also in chapter 2, because that could be considered way more racist than the Ariel controversy.
Yeah.
So if you want to, Eric is going to be crucified in social media when this goes live. So I'm excited for it.
Yeah, whatever. It wouldn't be the first time, but I'm glad you enjoyed the first 2 chapters and you thought it was kind of funny. I call it the I hope they serve beer in hell version of a police book.
Well, good enough for me.
Good.
All right, are we ready? What do we got going on?
Let's do this.
Oh, is it on me?
Well, so hold on. You guys, if you want to support the show, here's how you can do that. You can go to, we have the Giddy Up boxes. We've got 6 more in stock right now. Failuretostop.com. If you ordered one over the last week, it gets shipped out tomorrow because we make them like custom. We get the order, we get it to the supplier, they custom laser etch it, and then we get it ready to ship out. So those are shipping out tomorrow if you've ordered one and haven't gotten it yet. So the Giddy Up boxes, t-shirts, hats, whatever, failuretostop.com. You can support that way. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you want to get the perks to that, you can become a member on YouTube, gives you access to the Discord, gets you access to live streams for the shows that we don't actually do live, but you get to come in studio with us while we record them. And then if you don't want to do any of that stuff, just share the show. Hit the plus button on Apple Podcasts or Spotify so that it automatically downloads. Tell somebody about the show, share it, put it up on social media, tell your friends about it, whatever. You can support us that way too. You can leave a rating or a review. We appreciate that. All of the above. We need some new reviews to read, so make them good. That's it. All right. Now I'm ready.
All right. It's on you, homie.
Okay, look, I don't, this is on the fly. I don't quite know how we should handle this because we did tease it as an Ella French tribute, which is fine. I mean, not fine. It's not fine that she died. God bless her. God rest her soul. And Carlos Yanez is her partner who was shot. And talk about timeliness. He just did a Facebook post, a very touching and moving Facebook post within the last 48 hours where he pled with his fellow Chicago PD officers that if they're having suicidal thoughts or they're struggling, to please reach out. And, he's turning his tragedy into inspiration because he freely admits that when he woke up in the hospital in the intensive care unit and he found out that his partner was shot and killed, and he just didn't know what his life was going to be like. He had a bullet lodged in his brain essentially, and he was going to lose an eye, and he was ready to give up himself. But then he slept on it and swore the next day that he was going to commit to returning for his wife and child. And the Facebook post is very touching because he reminds you, like, every hug is valuable. Every moment you have with your kids or every moment you have with your wife, life is here to live. So, Carlos is in the news. There's also there was also a plea and one of the players in the whole mess. But what we just don't want to do is ever forget Ella. Ella French was an officer. She was, I don't know where she was in her career, but she was young in life. And as you can see on screen here, not that this has to do with anything with her job, but beautiful, just a beautiful woman. And she was definitely loved by her community as the tributes started pouring out after she was tragically killed. So this was August 7th of 2021 when this occurred. There was a vehicle going down the road. They were in a car together. There were 3 officers in a car together, Carlos Yanez and Ella. And there was a 3rd officer there who ended up, getting on the radio and getting all this information out that led to the capture. So they see a car with expired tags.
Do you know what the circumstance would be for 3 officers in a car?
I don't. It was like, the only thing I can imagine, there's a name for what they were called. The only thing I can imagine is like a street crimes unit, or place-based investigations like they had in Louisville or something like that. I was going
to say in Detroit, they would have like these TAC cars for different units at times, and there would be four guys in a car, like 2 in the front, 2 in the back, kind of a thing, because ready to hop out and do whatever.
Run, like if you, I think it was like, I don't know which chapter in my book it is, but there's one where we're doing exactly that, where we know we're about to get in a foot chase. So we all get into one patrol car. We keep the back doors propped open because if you shut them, they automatically lock. And that way, like, our plan was to just roll up and everybody bails out and chases because we knew they were going to run, So maybe it's like, in Chicago, they've got one dude that's in the back seat that's, your track star that's going to run down bad guys.
Yeah, the human canine. Every squad has a human canine.
Yeah, and I bark like one too.
Yeah, in the chambers. So Ella French makes contact with the driver. The driver is a fellow by the name of Eric Morgan. He's quite pretty, as you can see here. No opinion either way on his sexuality. As we find out, his lover Jamel Denzi is the one that pled guilty recently. Now, that's not his lover, that's his brother. His brother, Imanti Morgan, was on probation for robbery, a robbery he committed in 2019. So, again, the criminal justice system has saw the need to rehabilitate.
Always hard at work for the American interest.
Always. And, by the way, right before this happened, if I'm not mistaken, there was a bill passed that eliminated felony murder. So Eric Morgan was not charged with felony murder, from what I understand. Imanti Morgan was charged with like 85 counts. But Eric Morgan, they're still being held for their trials, but there's no more felony murder. And for those who aren't familiar with felony murder, if you're in the presence of somebody who commits a felony and somebody dies as a result, essentially you're responsible for that death as well. So Ella and Carlos contact the people. They immediately smell marijuana. I think Eric even admits they have marijuana. And Imanti gets out of the back seat. He's got a cell phone in one hand and a drink in the other. And they start kind of talking to him and trying to get him to put his stuff down. And he is typically defiant. And so at some point, Eric Morgan, the driver, starts running. The third officer starts running after Eric Morgan. Then the two officers that are left behind, Carlos and Ella, attempt to get a hold of Imanti, who is now reaching in the front seat of the front passenger side of the car, where a female was previously sitting. She wasn't charged with any crime. She wasn't part of it, really, other than being a passenger. And the body cam shows that he turned around and he shot them. He shot one in the face and I think shot one in the back of the head. So their body cam shows him straddling them, and body cam also sadly shows that they still had their guns in their holsters. So I don't think they knew what was coming. They didn't know what hit them. This happened in the area of 63rd and Bell in the Englewood area. For those of you who are in Illinois or the Chicago area, I'm not familiar with it, but essentially this is a lesson for everybody. This started with an expired tag traffic stop in that area, and it led to weed. And, I don't want to get too far off topic, but this is how you get guns off of the street. You make traffic stop based on expired tag. You smell weed. It gets you searched in the car. And next thing you know, you got a firearm.
The tag was for the Oklahoma City bomber. That was
exactly
registration.
The front tag, it was the front tag.
Front tag. I thought it was a brake light or something.
No, I thought it was the fact that the front tag was missing. And he turned around on him. There should have been two plates on the car.
Yeah, I knew there was something to do with the plates and the registration.
It was something like that. So at any rate, if you don't remember this, that something particular stood out with me in this story, other than beautiful Ella, who was taken from us way too soon. The mother of these, I don't know what to call them, but let's just call them defendants, so I can remain.
Shitbags.
Okay.
Yeah.
So somebody got off a shot. The third guy, by the way, the third officer ran back when he heard the struggle, and he then saw Imanti take off and link up with Eric. He was in the process of handcuffing Eric. He left him, went straight back to work, and then he saw what he saw, and he got on the radio. Well, Imanti took a shot at the third officer. The third officer returned fire and apparently hit him in the abdomen. And then Imanti hands the handgun off to Eric, as in, I know I'm going to the hospital, or I know I'm going to die. Get rid of this thing. And then Eric takes off running again. They recovered that firearm. They also recovered a .22 in the backyard of where Eric was discovered. So it's unknown if that's linked to them also. So what happens from there is this is one of the things that stood out to me was that the mother of these pieces of shit, as Eric has rightfully called them, shows up at the hospital, and she wants to see her baby. Well, because now he's her baby, and he's in protective custody in this, or no, not protective custody. He's in custody, but obviously the room is protected because it's essentially you're in that wing of the hospital in jail, so to speak.
Yeah, like if you go to jail with a felony fever, you don't get to have like friends and family come and visit you
right,
because you've got the felony fever.
Yeah,
we guard the door. You don't get a fucking TV. You don't get any of the amenities. You're there, you get processed at the hospital. And then as soon as they say, you're good to go, we take you to the jail. So that's with anybody. I mean, that's a DUI. That's, anybody that gets a felony fever doesn't get to see their family. Period. That's not what you know what I mean? Like, that's not how that works.
So the pieces of shit mother, who I will refer to as an asshole, gets on Facebook Live or some social media, and she starts streaming saying how there's two sides to every story, and I guarantee my sons were afraid of CPD. They're young black men, and they're always afraid of CPD. So she builds this big story up, like, there are more details. I just can't share them with you right now. Okay. And then, I raised two pieces of shit that had guns on them and weed. And then she rushes into the hospital, leaving her phone on, knowing what's going to happen. She's stopped by some emergency room personnel who are saying, you can't go back there. And she's like, I want to see my baby. And she's just screaming, Monty. She keeps screaming and screaming and screaming. Then she just bum rushes, leaving the camera on. So if she was really concerned about her child, I don't know if you would need your cell phone camera for this, but she left her camera on. And then, of course, she was abruptly met by two Chicago police officers who...
I hope she got her teeth knocked out.
I don't know what happened. I really don't know what happened. I mean, honestly, I know what I wish happened, but
if I knocked her teeth out as a cop and then I got fired for excessive force, dude, I'd be like, I'd make my own plaque, and then I'd go work, I'd mow lawns or whatever,
I'd create my own GoFundMe.
I'd make my own award ceremony. I'd invite people to wear black ties, and I would literally throw a party for myself and be like, former officer of the year. Why? Because I knocked that lady's teeth.
Yeah,
I blew her grill right out.
Yeah. Merch with her missing teeth.
Yeah,
T-shirt. Oh, yeah. A Halloween pack. A jack-o'-lantern template. So
you make your own GoFundMe.
I throw a party in the park. We'd all wear matching T-shirts for that lady's toothless face.
It's the airbrushed ones too, the inner city airbrushed ones.
Yeah. Her teeth are gone too soon.
Anyway, sorry.
So, no,
not really.
No, you shouldn't be. But so
it's airbrush picture of teeth with angel wings.
Yeah.
I want to make that just because now.
In loving memory. Like it says, in loving memory of my teeth, of her teeth.
Marty!
They gone to be with the angels.
Marty!
Rest in paradise, teeth.
So the other thing that stands out, and this is very near and dear to me, and this is how do I put this even? It's difficult to articulate that there was a positive that came out of the story, because there is no positive in a situation where an officer was murdered, by the way. I'm so tired of the media saying an officer was shot and killed, yet when an officer has to return fire and kill somebody, they say they murdered him in cold blood. But so Ella was murdered in cold blood. And but what happened was there's a dispatcher by the name of Keith Thornton Jr., and he got on that radio and took command of the situation like I probably have never heard before. Now, way back when, as my future stepson would say, in the 1900s, I was a dispatcher. I started my career as a dispatcher. I did it for 2.5 years. I was an emergency call taker. I was on the radio. And then later on in life, 25 some years later, I came back as a lieutenant to run the same comm center that I started in, the same communication center that I started in. And it was quite an honor to do so. I always heard the jokes about, oh, what'd you do wrong? Who'd you piss off? But to me, it was an honor. It was an absolute honor. And then to get to know and then do further research in what the dispatchers go through, even more than what I went through, I just felt like this is a cause that's never going to die with me. So Patricia Bounds was the other dispatcher that was supporting Keith. Keith got on the radio, took complete control of this. We'll listen to the audio in a minute. Let me just tease that. What I would love to do is go through a couple of things that officers, perhaps administrators, and more importantly, civilians just don't understand about what goes on in a communications environment. Is that okay with you guys, or do you want to run the audio?
Man. No, go. You do it.
Okay, listen, I'm not trying to plug my own YouTube channel because there's something else happening soon. But I will tell you, if you go to my YouTube channel, Drew Breasy, you'll see that I have this video up there. It's called 10 Things to Think About for Emergency Communications Dispatcher. May need to work on the title. I also wrote an article for my Substack account, Drew Breasy, and I'm not here to pump my own tires. I am here to tell you that I wrote what I felt, and I read the article this morning, and as I was as I was reading it, I was like, who the fuck wrote this? This was great. And I'm not saying that as in it's great, like I'm just a great writer. Like I'm looking in the mirror at the greatest writer I've ever. What I'm saying is, like, it's bringing out points that I know people don't think about. I know administrators don't think about, because I was there. I was there in the beginning, as in I was a dispatcher. Then I was there later in life as an administrator and having to fight their battles. And they are not only overlooked, they are way underpaid, underappreciated. You can send your Chick-fil-A platters of chicken tenders up there during National Telecommunicators Week. That's fine. They all appreciate that, but it's not. It just compared to what they go. Look, let me just get to it. Hearing trauma is no less traumatic than witnessing trauma. Just remember that. So cops always think, well, they're in the comfort of the AC and they're not in danger. Let's separate two things. There's physical danger that officers are exposed to, firefighters, paramedics they're exposed to. Then there's traumatic information that you take in on the scene. That's the same traumatic information that they're taking in their headsets. You can never erase the sound of gunshots, the sound of somebody killing themselves after they've given you their last will and testament, because it's raw. So by the time, they might put into a CAD call, like, all of these details about how horrific this domestic beating is. And by the time you get there 6 or 7 minutes later, everything has had 6 or 7 minutes to cool down, but they heard the raw beating. They have heard everything that was horrible. And not to mention, it's stressful because it's like pulling teeth when you're working on 911, trying to get information out of everybody. If you've ever had an experience to call 911, or just put yourself in the 911 caller's mind, they're dealing with the best people at their worst time. So when they're asking simple questions like, where do you live? Or can you confirm your address for me? Or do you know CPR? The stuff that they're met with often is, will you just fucking get somebody here? Will you just shut the fuck up and get somebody? Like, literally, that's how people talk, except they're screaming at them. So think of also in the police world, when we go to a tragic scene, like an accident or a suicide or a baby drowning, let's say, we get the closure of being there. Crime scene comes, the medical examiner office comes, removes the body, and, we get that closure. There is no closure in the comm center world. There is no closure in the dispatch world, because we don't really communicate with them. We don't follow up with them.
You're kind of left thinking, like, what happened? I get what you're saying. It's like a cop can show up. You've got like a person that's hung themselves, right? So we get to watch them be taken off of the rope. Then they get, then we notify the family, and the family knows. And then they get sent off to the ME's office, and the detectives have done all their things. And we've written our report, and now it's done. It's over with. We go home. The only thing you heard as a dispatcher was somebody's like, oh my God, my uncle is hanging from a rope in the fucking bathroom. And then that's it. You don't ever get to hear anything else or have any kind of closure of what happened next. You're just taking the next call, which is probably equally as shitty. And it just keeps going on and on and on and on.
Okay, great. Perfect segue, because you're taking the next call that comes without warning. So you take that. Listen, I talk about in the article this young lady who will call for the purpose of the story Nicole, because, Mike, her name is Nicole. So I got alerted as I came in that morning, hey, Nicole took some very bad calls. Like, she sat down and logged on, and she took some very bad calls this morning, 2 right back to back. So it wasn't even 6:45 before she had 2 traumatic calls. So I went over and I talked to her, and essentially what happened is the first call she got, right, she put her headset on, logged in, the tone goes off in her ear, and it's a mother who is screaming about her child who died of a fentanyl overdose. Found him with a needle in the arm, and like a whole Neil Young song. And when you think about it, this mother has probably been waiting for this moment for the last 4 or 5 years, knowing that this is probably going to be the end consequence. And the moment it happens, she got Nicole on the phone, so she unloaded on Nicole. I mean, it's not personal, but Nicole has to endure it. She has to get the information out of the mother and whatnot. So she hangs up, she tidies up what she's got going on, and then a tone goes off in her ear again. This time it's a father who's screaming, "My wife is doing CPR on our baby. She's a nurse. We found the baby floating face down in the tub." So now she's hearing the screams of the mother doing CPR. She's hearing the screams of the father. They're about to lose their baby because they found it tragically, like whatever, there was a miscommunication, the baby's floating in the tub. Just imagine the horror. Now, when you get to that scene, it's probably still traumatic as a cop, but think of the minute it happens, you're hearing it live. It's a different story. So there's no warning. There's no okay, you took that first call with the mother and she beat the shit out of you psychologically. So why don't
you as a cop,
go home?
Then you as a cop, this is the things that cops don't think about, because then it's dispatch, hold me out at the corner of Blue and West. And then they're like, "You want to give me some preamble?" And you're like, "Whoa, bitch. Yeah, it's 4:24. You know what I mean? You as a cop don't think that, fuck, man, 2 hours ago, she was just guiding somebody through CPR on their dead fucking baby that just drowned in the thing. So it's you often forget, even as a cop, how affected or how traumatic it is to be a dispatcher. I've always had great respect for dispatcher. The artist for my book is a dispatcher, Jonathan Bates. I'm not gonna say where he's a dispatcher because I didn't ask him permission to do that, but I have a big love. I have a genuine love for dispatchers, and I always try to treat dispatchers with the utmost respect, because that is a shitty fucking job, man.
It is. I mean, I'll go into why I think, but at any rate, so there's no closure. There's a very high turnover rate because there is a high absenteeism rate. If you go into any comm center, communication center, dispatch center, whatever you guys call it, and you ask them, what's the average amount of sick time accrual you have, or PTO accrual, they're going to tell you, I don't know, 2 hours, 3 hours. They use it as quick as they get it, because when you think about it, why would you want to fight with your body or your mind to go into that environment? There are days they just don't have it. And police administrators don't get it, because police administrators are like, well, you're going to fight to the end. You just show up when you're hurt. Who cares? Just walk it off. This is a different level of pain. And so you'll find that there's zero, sick time built up, and they are actually sometimes punished for their lack of sick time. So they use their sick time freely. They get it down to zero. They make excuses, at least to disciplinary issues, but it's all trauma related. It's all trauma based. And instead of embracing the trauma and trying to fix that, we do the opposite. We tend to put stuff like that in their evaluations. This year, I want them to work on banking up more of their sick time, which I never understood, because that's a benefit anyway. So you're not going to say, this time I hope they save $4,000 in cash. Get out of my business. If you don't want to give me the sick time, don't give it to me. But I'm going to use it if you give it to me, because you offered it as a benefit, and that was one of the reasons I took the job, right? So there's a high absenteeism rate. There's a 100% chance that you're going to meet with a traumatic incident. If you're a cop, you could sit potentially under a tree for a tour of duty, say 3 12-hour shifts, and never have your radio go off, never have your digital go off, although that's probably uncommon. But
I think it depends on where you work, because
it is.
It's absolutely, because in Southeast Raleigh per se, there were guys that went 20 years trying to get what's called a no-hitter, which means that they didn't go to a call, and it's it doesn't exist. Look, when I was getting fired, I tried for a no-hitter, and it doesn't work. Now, when I went to Southwest Raleigh at the very end of my career, which was the college campus, I was unassigned. I still took probably at least 2 calls a day, but not in Southeast Raleigh, where I took 25 calls a day. But I have heard rumor of like North Raleigh cops that could go like 3 weeks without getting a call.
That's a perfect game. But what you're referring to are calls for service, not traumatic calls.
Yeah. Okay. I get what you're saying. Yeah.
So when they walk through the door, there's 100% chance they're going to be traumatized in some way, shape, or form. Because listen, when you're driving down the road as a civilian, or when you're off duty or whatever, you don't have your radio with you, and you see an accident on the side of the road, you pick up the phone and you dial 911. Well, what do you think the 40 people behind you are doing and the 60 people in front of you? So when there's only 4 people there, they're handling up to 100 or 120 calls for the same incident within a very short period of time. And sometimes those calls are very graphic. The place where I worked, we handled all information that came into Hillsborough County, and they ferreted it out from there. So if it was a medical emergency, they would have to make, within 10 or 15 seconds, make a determination if they're going to ship it off to EMS or if this is a law enforcement emergency. So they're hearing about I just walked in and my grandfather is not breathing. And like, they hear all of that. And so there's 100% chance you're going to be traumatized when you walk through those doors. And 911 and dispatcher seats have to be filled. So when you think about like the guys in the Southeast District, if there were 8 or 10 on the squad and 2 called out sick and one's on vacation, the shift commander or the sergeant just kind of keeps their finger crossed, but you can cover it. You'll be fine. You got detectives that maybe could come out and handle alarms or whatever. It doesn't work that way in the communications world, because you can't leave a 911 seat unfilled. Somebody has to answer the radio and somebody has to run the warrants, and you can't do that. So they're completely understaffed, and it really does kind of play into the fact that they only have 4 walls to deal with. So when there's a traumatic incident, to say Eric, you're in the Southeast District and you handle a stabbing and it's a very sad, or an accidental shooting or something is very sad, you can leave there and you can, my favorite example is go behind the Wawa and cry your eyes out. You can drive around and listen to Night Shift or Failure to Stop and hopefully, laugh a little bit, or you can crack jokes with your zone partners as you're driving around, or you can even find a peaceful little lake and pray, or do what you got to do to not have to compartmentalize this.
Yeah, you can drive behind the church and masturbate.
Yeah, was my body cam on or something? Are you leading to something?
Strangely specific.
You can go behind.
Or you can drive behind First Baptist Church on 3rd Avenue.
12th and South.
What?
Right. Behind the tool shed. So
where the cameras go, they don't point in the what?
Right. That's where the National Geographic was hidden. So there's only 4 walls, and they're not like, when something very traumatic happens, you don't just drive away and change the scenery. You've got 4 walls to look at. You got stupid monitors to look at, and you've got each other to look at. And believe me, there are warring factions within that comm center. Trauma is a very, like PTSD, it's not an overused term in that application, in my opinion. And it's very evident that people are short with one another, and people are very suspicious of one another, and people are jealous of one another. Well, she got to take a 12-minute break. How come and you find little warring factions. They have cliques in there, and it just becomes tough. I feel
like after listening to this, the comm center should be turned into like what I imagine Google to be like, where you just have like all the granola bars and, all the Gatorades and the restrooms and the quiet rooms. Like if you went and worked for Google or you went and worked for Apple, like on a campus, that's what a dispatch center should be. It should be like the most calming place on earth because of all the bullshit that you have to deal with.
Soft lights. And I agree 100%.
Like it shouldn't be just like a dungeon with 4 walls. Like most.
I would like to point out, like in that research project that I told you about a minute ago, I suggested 2 things. I take that back. The one suggestion didn't make it in there, which was canines, like compassion dogs, like trauma dogs. Just have the dogs walk around out there, wag their tails, and it really, there's science behind it, right? Kind of got laughed out of the room. Not kind of.
Interesting.
The other
I want an emotional support.
It seems like a really low cost option to keep morale high.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the emotional support What'd you say? Miniature horse?
Yeah, I want an emotional support miniature horse.
I'd like to tell you that story, but I'm a little horse. Anyway, so you walk
around a lot on airplanes.
Yeah.
Support animals.
What if you had an emotional support master? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like a dominator, you know. It's my emotional support.
He comes in with like Mike crawling on all fours. Like I'm holding onto the leash.
Yeah, that's just my
the other way
dom.
around.
Yeah. So
people are petting me.
That's the
you have
gift.
A full leather face mask. Oh my
This is Eric, my emotional support gimp. So
what do you mean I have to pay for an extra seat?
This is my support gimp.
He will fit under the seat.
No, he will. We will put him under there. He will go into the overhead bin.
Yes, he will.
I know because we've done it several times.
You got to leave the leash hanging out. So, so if he gets loud, you just. So anyway, so think about this too. They're up there 24/7, 365. So every cop administrator or every cop that comes up with this great idea, let's put shot cameras up, or, you know, like let's put this alarm sensor up, you know, like all these new apps that keep coming out that, you know, they sell the administration on, the salespeople do. And they're like, oh yeah, I'll just stick that in my comm center. They're up there 24/7 anyway. Okay. Well, first of all, they're spread thin as it is. They're looking, if you go to a modern communication center, they're looking at a panel of like 7 monitors. There are standards where they have to answer 90% of their 911 calls within the first 10 seconds. Those are NENA standards, NENA, National Emergency Number Association. They're not really held to it, but it's a governing body, so to speak. So now you're going to add a new alarm, bell, whistle, whatever that just keeps going off. Just imagine, I wrote in the article, just imagine your smoke detector battery dying and that stupid chirp that you can't narrow down where that chirp is coming from, but it's annoying, and it's just annoying. And now you're supposed to hold your composure while the domestic violence victim is on the other end of the phone, and she's not answering you. She's answering the guy that's beating the shit out of her, who you would prefer her to answer you. You get where I'm going? Like, administrators tend to pile stuff on up in that communication center. These people, the communications people, are lumped in as clerical staff. I always use this same example. Do you think they endure the same stress and trauma that the chief of police's secretary endures? Fuck no. I mean, is it the same trauma and stress that the records person endures, or the mechanic in the garage? Not to belittle any of those support roles or support functions. They're all very important. Everybody pitches in to keep the machine running. But do you think that what the dispatchers do is the same thing as them? Yet they are classified as such. They're paid as such. Often their retirements reflect a non-high risk. So it was horrible for me to sit up there and continually get pay raises because I'm a cop, or continually add to my 3% a year, which was my retirement multiplier, when theirs is 1.6. And they're enduring, I'm not doing any heavy lifting as the administrator in that comm center. They're doing a lot of heavy lifting. And it takes them 35 or 40 years to get to a comfortable level where they can retire. And nobody survives 40 years in that industry without dying within the first year of getting out of it. It's just bad the way it's set up. There's legislation afoot. It's called the 911 Saves Act. I don't know where the legislation is now. It was proposed by a California legislator who started her life. Her name is Norma Torres. She started her life as a dispatcher, actually. And she proposed that at least OSHA reclassify them as first responders. I don't know where the legislation is at this point.
I mean, technically, they are the first responders. They're the first one to respond to you.
First responders. That's what they're referred to as. So here's a dirty little secret. If you walked into your communication center or where you used to work, or any of you listening out there, and you asked, you polled 10 people, hey, how many of you have listened to a suicide? I guarantee 10 hands would go up. So this is the elephant in the room. This is the dirty little secret. They don't talk about it. Nobody ever talks about it. They don't like to talk about it. They don't share, and that's fine. That's their business. That's one of the things that they compartmentalize. But they negotiate with these people constantly. Like, people often call 911 to give their last will and testament, to say, I'm about to kill myself. I just want my sister to know. And they'll say all that. And then this poor dispatcher is begging and pleading with them, and they kill themselves anyway. And then, of course, they don't get the closure of being at the scene to know that there was a note that said, I've been planning this for 4 weeks. There was nothing they could do, but they're left to fill in the blanks in their mind. So it's an unspoken truth. The death of a coworker while working, think about that. You're on the radio, and there's a very there's just a case I'm thinking about. There's a couple of cases I'm thinking about right now, but there's a specific case I'm thinking about where a deputy sheriff was leaving the hospital after doing a DUI crash investigation, and he's getting up onto an expressway that is one way during the day and one way during the night. And there was a wrong way drunk driver on that expressway that he knew nothing about. And boom. Now, all they heard was this weird, ominous, like this weird noise coming from his radio, and they could see it was him. And they started calling him, and they knew his location. And sure enough, they sent deputies there, and the car was demolished. He passed away. His name was John Cotfila. God bless John. He was such a good soul. A kid from New England. His dad was a motorcycle cop, I think, for Boston PD or something like that. His sister is now a deputy sheriff where we work, in his honor, pretty much. And she's a badass. But God, I love that kid. Just the salt of the earth. But at any rate, think of being on the radio and having to hold composure and then learning, or think of being on the radio like Keith Thornton and hearing that Ella French is dead because they told him she got shot right between the eyes or whatever they said. And you can hear him crying, but he's still keeping it together and he's still guiding. It's a very, very tough thing to try to motor through, to try to push through.
Yeah. It's crazy, man. Well, I know for a fact, I had several people reach out that have worked with you, that sing your praises. I'm not here to blow your tires up either, if you know what I mean. But yeah, it's really cool to hear that perspective, and it's not something that a lot of cops actually downplay dispatch, because there's sort of like an irritation, that can happen. And it's not like there's not idiot dispatchers, just like there's not idiot cops too, like, that are just bad at their job or need to do something else. But yeah, it's an excellent perspective on those things. So the dispatcher in the Ella French case, phenomenal work.
Yeah, we're gonna play that.
Play it.
We're going to play it, but before we do, I have to get one of these ad reads because that's what pays for all this thing. And listen, man, this is the reason why we chose to bring Blue Chew on as a sponsor, and we hope to keep them as a continuous sponsor. It's because of things like this, man. Like, erectile dysfunction is something to joke about or whatever. But at the end of the day, man, like if you're a dispatcher and you go through this these traumatic events like this, and then you go home, it's not fair to take that trauma and then put it on your family. Like, your wife still wants to make love to you or have sex with you. They want you to be turned on. And when you have a happy wife or a happy significant other, it's a happy life, right? And so don't let the stressors of the job not be able to make it so that you can perform. When you're on your day off, if you're having sex, if you're having a healthy relationship, it's going to make you better at your job, and it's going to make your job better for you. Blue Chew right now is you can use the promo code WOLFPACK, and you can try it out for free. They'll send you like 4 Chewies. Blue Chew is a unique online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra or Cialis, but it's in a chewable tablet, and it's a fraction for the cost. I mean, I think it's like $20 a month and you'll get like 4 chews or something like that. I did the survey. I signed up for it. And so I've done the survey. I talked with a little doctor online because I wanted to learn more about this process. And look, I don't have a problem getting hard. I can get hard all the time. But if you're in a stressful situation,
only behind church sheds,
So when I'm not in a
traumatic incidents,
when I'm not in a hot porta potty, when I'm not in a hot porta potty in Afghanistan, it's hard for me. So I take a couple of Blue Chews. No, I'm just kidding. But the process is simple. You sign up at BlueChew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers. It's very short, dude. I did this whole thing in like 7 or 8 minutes. I did it right before the show last week, and I literally did it like 6 minutes before the show. And
we're talking about the survey still, right?
The survey, yeah.
Oh, okay.
And literally, they were like, dude, it took like 6 minutes. It was like 10 questions. Do I have heart problems? Do I have this? Do I have that? And then you're like your FaceTime on your computer rings. You hit the answer button. It's a doctor. It's an American doctor. They walk you through, ask you a couple questions, and it was very Big Bird Cookie Master. I asked, and they said, hey, look, if you're having if you're having a hard time, or if you're going through a rough patch, we're only giving like 4 a month. So it's not like one of these things where it's like you're popping them all the time. But they do have a doctor on staff that if that is your problem, if you have like a severe case of erectile dysfunction, they can help that too. With Blue Chew, men everywhere are excited to see. I didn't know that was in this ad read. I don't know if I can read that with a straight face. With Blue Chew, men everywhere are excited to see the postman because when your package has arrived, meaning that you're waiting anxiously for the Blue Chew. Look, I didn't write this. I wouldn't have wrote this. I'm never excited to see the postman ever.
Well, I can't get excited without the Blue Chew. So you know what I'm saying? Like, which came first, the Blue Chew or the postman? Like,
I'm just excited about the Blue Chew. I'm
God
just excited to see a package on my thing. Yeah, Blue Chew. But right now, you could try Blue Chew for free. Just use that promo code Wolfpack. You pay $5 in shipping, and they'll send you to it. And when you talk to the little thing online, they'll explain exactly how Blue Chew works. You take it, you wait 45 minutes, and you got 4 hours. You can get hard. Just thinking about getting hard. And you won't be thinking about dead babies, domestic violence.
Get your Blue Chew and ask the postman, would you like to come inside?
Yeah, give me 45 minutes and you can come on in here.
Been looking for you. Been waiting.
All right. And I'm glad we got that ad read out of the way because after you listen to this radio traffic, you're going to need it to get hard after today's show. You're going to need Blue
also
Chew.
Like some of you may not know, one of the nonprofits that I've long supported and been a part of is Call for Backup, and a lot of their work, it's all free. They don't charge departments. We've done it in the military. We've done it for all first responders, not just police officers, but we have dispatchers in our classes all the time, and it's all free. And it's about building, not just responding. Critical incident response is one thing, like debriefing. That's its own sort of like animal. But there's a lot of things that we can understand about ourselves, the job, and how we can help mitigate stress on the front end so that we sort of like attack the job better equipped.
Build the resilience.
Yes, building stress resilience. And so if you are interested for your department, your organization, whatever, if you check out callforbackup.org, and again, there's no charge. We, raise funds so that we can do that. Some people will pay to bring us in or cover travel expenses, do different things like that. But there's lots of opportunities to learn and improve together in that area. So anyway, wanted to throw that out there. Not sponsored or anything. It's just if it can help you, great.
I do see in the comments, like, I don't want to be a complete Debbie Downer for this whole episode, but I do see in the comments 988 is a good suicide hotline that's run by the Mental Health Society. So if you're having those thoughts or ideations, or the trauma has gotten to you like it does to all of us, just pick up that phone and dial 988 and you'll have somebody to talk to. You can always call our friends at Team South Florida also.
All right, you guys ready for me to play this radio transmission brought to you by the United States Concealed Carry Association? Go to United States Concealed Carry Association /Wolfpack and become a member today. It's an absolute must if you're a concealed carrier. All right, I'm going to go ahead and play this, and you just raise your hand when you're ready for me to pause it.
Yeah.
6-3 inbound, 6-3 inbound. Give me some units, 6-3 inbound. Keep the air clear. Who is this and what you got? Blue Cubs jersey. All right, Blue Cubs jersey, Mel Black. He's running 6-3 inbound, 76-37 after you got the air. Mel Black's the Blue Cubs jersey. What's he wanted for? 6-3 inbound. Please. Mel Black, Blue, what you got? Blue. I got an officer down, 10-1, 10-1, 6-3 in Bell. Officer down, shots fired at the police. Officer down, male black, a blue Cubs jersey. He's shot at the police. 6-3 in Bell. Give me some units. 7-1-3. Stay off my air. Everybody stay off the air. I got an officer down, 6-3 in Bell. Start rolling. I got an officer down, 6-3 in Bell. Officer down, 6-3 in Bell. Give me some units. I want a perimeter set up at the location looking for a male black with a blue Cubs shirt. A blue Cubs shirt with a male black. Perimeter set up 2 blocks east, north. Okay, I got a all black. Give me 2 ambulances needed for 2 officers down, 7637 Adam, 10-4, we got him coming. 6-1 boy, get those officers right there, 26-3 in Bell. I want a perimeter set up 3 blocks north, south, east, west of that location. I got a male black in a blue shirt, Cubs jersey, officers down. Who gets over there? We got paramedics coming, 2 ambulances. Ambulance. 10-4, we got them coming, baby. We got them coming. Stay off the air. I want people looking, guys. Last scene, southbound for the location. Got a male black in a blue jersey. 61, you're on the scene. I want a helicopter. Got 63, 29 Bell. 10-4. 10-4, we got TH1. We rolling, guys. I think I might have hit the one. Female with the emergency, go with it. Slow it down. We got 2 in custody. Two officers shot. One out. Stop the car there, guys. Stop the car at the tip. Guys, listen. Got 2 officers down. We need a perimeter, guys. 6-3. We got 2 in custody right now. 2 in custody. I need a perimeter, guys. Start a route to the hospital. Give me TH1.
Just to break out the action a little bit, he had the foresight to. He knew that there were 2 in custody. He was still trying to establish that perimeter, as you heard him say, expertly doing so, trying to keep his composure. Not trying. He was definitely keeping his composure, and he is a voice of reason because he has vast experience in dealing with people who are losing it, sort of, by dealing with people from 911 constantly. So he's doing it here with the cops expertly, and what he does, what he's starting to do, if he's not doing it more in a minute in the call, he's having people block the roads to clear a path to the hospital. This guy is just, I can't say enough about, you can't take lightly how much of a guardian that dispatcher really is. They are wholeheartedly invested in your safety and in your life because they feel responsible for it.
Yeah, he's taken a wild situation that's very dynamic on the ground and really taken charge. I mean, he's a freaking rock star.
Yes, 100%.
All right, I'm gonna hit play.
Go for it.
10-4, we're going to UFC Hospital. Set me up a perimeter to UFC Hospital, guys. Give me a route. Going 6-3, you're going east from 63rd. Take it all the way east, one to 63rd. 10-4, 6-3. We're going to take it eastbound. Are we taking both officers, guys? Get us to 10-1-6-3 in Bell. We're transporting both officers to UFC Hospital. I want all of 63 going eastbound. Stop. All traffic eastbound 63 stop. I got 2 officers down. We're taking to the hospital. Give me a perimeter and stop all of those streets. Who's got a route for me? Talk to me. Look, all the way to 63 and West End. All the way down to 60 and Dandy. Everything needs to be blocked on both sides. Get us to the 10-1. I need a route set up. Eastbound 63. Take it down to Western. All traffic eastbound 63 to Western. We're taking it to UFC for the 10-1 2 officer shot. One of the first one to Holy Cross. We have an officer in our car. We're going to UFC with him. We're going down 63rd to state to 5555 over. Listen to me, officer. Officer's going to Holy Cross. That's down at trauma center. We got to get him to a trauma center, guys. Take him to UFC there at trauma center. Go to UFC. Don't go to Holy Cross. Down at trauma center. Take them both to UFC for now. UFC. Follow the officer that's approaching 63 to Halstead. Approaching 6-3 in Halstead now. 6-3 in Halstead. All units 6-3, Damon and Western Block. We're going to UFC. Service officer. Okay, we got you guys. Just call out the location of where you're at. UFC is notified. 731, what's the condition of... Stand by. 731, what's the condition? That's your partner, Rap. P.O. Rap. He's with us. P.O. Rap. What's the condition of the officer in your vehicle?
He's talking right now, squad.
Okay, 10-4. Whoever has my other officer, what's the condition, guys?
726, she's not responsive. She's unconscious. She's looking blue from the base. I'm heading right now north on 67 Halston, about 60 steps down to east. She's good.
All right, 10-4. We got him going, guys.
First squad, not my first.
Okay, listen to me. Take that damn vest off right now and start compression. Start breathing. Whatever we got to do, start it now. While you're driving, the officer in the back with her, take the vest off and start compression now. You got the air.
726, compression started almost 15 minutes ago.
Okay, excellent. Keep it rolling, baby. Keep it rolling. We got it coming. They know you're coming in. And units that are at UFC Hospital, have those doors open for me. Have them open, guys. Have them ready. Go ahead, boy.
644, we got the male officer. He's here. They got him in the CR right now. Side door to the emergency room is open. Bring him through the emergency room side.
All right, bring him to the emergency room side, guys. Guys, male officer going to the ER. Bring him to the emergency room. And the other female officer, please get her in there, guys. Make it quick. Be safe getting there, but make it quick.
R3, repeat that last transition.
Shot in the head between the eyes. Both officers are responsible in the hospital. UFC. Keep the air clear. We have 2 in custody. These are only guys that were shooting guys in custody.
6-foot boy, 6'3", 28. I put the other one in custody. The son being guarded by my partner, so we can get the EC over here to recover.
Are these both the guys who shot? Are these both our offenders?
The 4 spot.
So think of he handled business. He saved lives. He tried to. And he was the voice of reason. That's very hard to do. And you heard the emotion creep in when he found out, like, think about it, he's probably getting digital messages the whole time. And I don't know if he knew his mic was keyed and he was like shot between the eyes, both of them, and one's dead, and then you can hear him crying and all that, but he's still taking care of business. He's still saying, do we have the 2 shooters in custody? And then clarifying, which is what, even cops don't do sometimes. Mm-hmm. This was just, I thought it was a poignant.
Yeah, I think the only thing he could have done a little bit better was said, do we have those 2 in custody? Officers who have those in custody, go ahead and take those out to the woods and dispatch them for us, please. Just walk them through that. Just take them out to the woods and pull your firearm out and smoke both of them right now, please.
So Keith Thornton himself, on July 30th of 2022, just very recently did that's Carlos Yanez right there.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. Keith Thornton did a very touching Facebook post himself, and it was his resignation letter. And if you get a chance to Google his resignation letter, it's very poignant. And it just made me respect this guy even more. He said that he's stepping away from his role in that bubble because it's time for him to step out, and that he maintained all along, any interview that he's done thus far is just, I was just doing my job, man. Like just like you or I would kind of probably do. Very humble. And he said in his Facebook post or resignation, we're tired of it. This is nonsense. There's corruption in this city. And he specifically named Kim Foxx for letting criminals run the show. And it was pretty poignant. As a matter of fact, by the way, just as an aside, Kim Foxx is announcing this morning that she's charging 2 officers with felonies for a shootout that occurred when they were in their cars being shot at. So I don't know the details of that, but I know that she's holding a press conference this morning. Anyway, back on topic. Keith Thornton was, he's a hero. He's on Instagram. He's on Facebook. I mean, look, give the guy a pat on the back. I'd love to talk to him face to face and shake his hand. I know that he's kind of a humble guy. I'm sure at some point we'll get him on the podcast, hopefully. But just to end on a high note, he's he's doing as well as he can be, and he's moved on to a supervisory position elsewhere.
Yeah.
Wow.
Dang, man. I'm going to have to check out that resignation letter and see what he had to say. Share that up for sure, because we need it's crazy what's going on out there. And to think that, especially for those that undervalue that, a dispatcher sort of like leading the way with that kind of clarity and conviction. I mean, that's something I can get behind. That's a warrior, like in a sense of like, in a different sense than what we typically think of when we think warrior in the law enforcement or first responder world. But that dude's a warrior. Like he stepped up, and dude, he led that entire response. It was awesome.
And it's not just that guy. I mean, I think every department knows, like, there are dispatchers in every department where, like, when that guy's on the radio, everything's gonna be okay. When Lisa's on the radio, you're good. When Adam's on the radio, hey, it's gonna be a good day today, because a good dispatcher is, there's a comfort knowing that, hey, all units, 422, go ahead and key up your mic. I haven't heard you in a few minutes. See you're out on a suspicious person. Go ahead and key up your mic and just let us know you're okay out there. And, for the rest of the city, you're like, oh man, that's cool. Somebody's Big Brother's watching me, but in this case, watching over me. And it is a good thing. And I'm one of our officers got shot while we were on duty, and I'll never forget that radio traffic. And going back to what you said earlier, Drew, is that I think out of all the traumatic incidents I've ever been on, even overseas and over here, really it's the radio traffic that plays back in my brain. And I wasn't there when one of my cohorts was shot in the face, but I was on the radio, and I was thinking about how sick to my stomach I was listening on the radio of them pulling the car over and doing CPR, and then putting them back in the car and going to the next exit, stopping, switching to an ambulance, stopping for CPR, and just knowing that I couldn't do anything except listen to this. And I almost wanted to turn the radio off, knowing that I can't, because I still had a job to do. But, there is this gut-wrenching feeling of listening and hearing something and not having any kind of tangible way of touching it. And my hat's off to all of these dispatchers that show up every day. And it's like being a cop, right? Like, we show up and we say, today could be the day, guys. Today could be the day that I get in the fight for my life, or today's the day that I could save somebody, or today's the day that I could make a real difference. I think dispatchers probably have that same mentality. We just don't give them credit for it. And, my hat's off to all you guys.
I would argue that they don't have the same mentality because they don't hear enough. We used to tell them in their initial, before their academy started, basically, we'd go in and give them a good kind of rah-rah speech, but you will have the potential to save a life every day you walk in the door. So you are going to have to deal with traumatic information, but you have a pretty good shot at changing someone's life for the drastically, if not saving it. So,
I don't think I've ever seen a dispatcher at a life-saving award ceremony.
No,
I've never seen a dispatcher get a distinguished service cross.
Don't even get me started on that. Please don't get me started on that. But because it was tried, but and that's why I say administrators. This is, as a communications center administrator, that's a cop that sees both sides. That's the fight, and that's the downfall. If you're going to put me in charge of that, at least have the decency to hear what I have to say and why it's important for you and for their morale to at least recognize them. Now, they do get recognized. I'm not saying that it never happened, but here's what I would just say to kind of put a bow on this. The first contact any citizen has with a law enforcement agency when they dial 911 is a dispatcher. It's not a cop. The cop eventually shows up. So if you're not taking care of, if you're not maintaining, or you're not focused on the well-being of that dispatcher or emergency call taker in this example, they're going to be mean, and they're going to be nasty and agitated, and they're going to agitate a situation over the phone just based on what their fight or flight is telling them to do. And it's not necessarily their fault. But what happens when you, Eric, show up in the Southeast District and she's just had an argument, and the complainant has just had an argument with the 911 operator? They're mad as a hornet, and they see you, and you're the face of the person they just talked to. Yeah. So now it's escalated between you two. Mm-hmm. or Mike, or, whatever. I mean, like, now it's escalated. So please, keep them in mind. Call your dispatchers, give them closure on a tough case. Include them in any training that you do. It's I could go on about that, but certainly if you're not including, or you're a dispatcher and you're not included in a critical incident stress debriefing, start.
It makes me want to just go get
makes
me want to just go get a Chick-fil-A platter and just take it down to the comm center and fucking drop it off. Because cops get that shit all the time. Cops get, we go to the roll call room, we get donuts or coffee donated, but how often does dispatch get that?
They get it quite.
If you're good to your cops, then you get it regularly.
They do get it quite frequently, and that's true. They do get that quite frequently. In some places, they get it more frequently.
Send me a shit call. I'm giving you a shit sandwich right back.
Well, man, this has been a very powerful and eye-opening episode. Maybe one of my favorites, actually. I learned just so much today, and I appreciate it. And for those of you who don't know, Drew Breasy is going to be helping us out with the YouTube content. He is a retired guy with too much too much knowledge to keep waste. He's a humble and selfless guy. And he said, I was asking him to kind of, what he thought on things. And I just, we asked him, hey man, would you like to come over to the Failure to Stop YouTube channel and provide us some content, some shorter 6 to 11 minute content? And after talking with Mike convincing myself to do the same thing, and Mike saying that he may, wants to kind of put some content out there. So if you're not liking, subscribing to YouTube, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit like today, share this thing out. And we're going to hear a lot more from Drew Breasy, giving us all sorts of solid, shorter based breakdowns on some things from his very extensive police background, being demoted and promoted and moved around and being on every.
We really want the YouTube channel to expand. Obviously the podcast is sort of like, the beating heart of this thing, but there's no reason to not continue to expand that content, cut up more for reels and shorts and answer questions. Law enforcement and culture, it's a never ending conversation that's going on out there. And to have solid voices, of people helping, I think it's kind of like two sides, right? Like always encouraging the cops that are in the field, the first responders out there, but also educating people that are non-cops, that are, whether they're supporters or skeptics, like helping them to understand things from a little bit of a different perspective. So increase the old tolerance out there,
Yeah. If you want to meet Drew Breasy, he and myself will be at the Island Girl Cigar Bar for their 10-year anniversary. They're doing
Island Girl.
I'm an Island Girl.
Island thing.
Island Girl. Trying to make it. So we'll be at the Island Girl in Ponte Vedra Beach, Florida, which is in Jacksonville, between kind of Jacksonville and Daytona, St. Augustine area, but it's a little town called Ponte Vedra. If you want to meet Drew Breasy, we'll be there 7 p.m. this Saturday, tomorrow, 7 p.m. The Island Girl Cigar Bar. Come and say hi to us. Come and try out my rum. There's a couple whiskey makers that are going to be there. I think there's going to be some pro athletes in there as well. Big 10-year anniversary, Island Girl Cigar Bar, and come and meet with us. And guys, you got anything else? Mike, you've got a wedding to go to, brother.
I got a lot to do, man. I got to get a lot done in the next hour. So,
all right. Well, we'll sign it out then, baby. We'll let you get to it, man. You got to walk that man down the aisle.
That's right. That's right. All right, guys.
All right. Guns up, giddy up, boys.
Guns up, giddy up.